Lubna Arakat. And right now, I believe we have Michael McCall.
Thank you. I'm Michael McCall. Live on Echo Drive in La Mesa. I'm an educator. I've taught at San Diego State for the last 7 years and am a proud father of a student at La Mesa Middle. Because so many of my substantive concerns have been eloquently addressed by many others preceding me, including by a very articulate sixth grader, I hastily rewritten my comments and will try to don't want to compete with a sixth grader. Hastily rewritten my comments and we'll try to focus these on 2 points of process. First, having had many opportunities to teach constitutional principles at the university level, I would encourage Mr. Winnett and all policymakers to cite this cherished document carefully and accurately. All words, especially in the Constitution, are powerful and have specific meaning. We should use them wisely. Second, I encourage the board to post on its website or to otherwise make readily available its specific policies regarding parental consent and the opt-out, so-called opt-out alternative. To be sure, in some areas, federal and state law codify select relevant rights of students and parents to be informed of and under certain circumstances to be given the chance to opt out of certain school activities. I assume that in other areas not covered by such legislation, the decision of whether or not to opt out is made by the district on an ad hoc basis. If this is the case, it is unclear to me on what criteria the board or others rely to reach these determinations. It would be helpful to know what factors the district uses to decide when parents will or will not be given the opportunity, beyond that, again, required by legislation, to opt their children out of activities. Any clarification of the board's processes in making notification and opt-out decisions would be appreciated. Thank you.
After Lubna will be Leah Pavard. And right now, we have Chrisanne Lowe-Rafferty. Do I have the right person?
Yes, now
Awesome.
it's right, yes. My name is Chrisanne Lowe-Rafferty. I live at 7993 Lemon Circle. I have a daughter, a sixth grader at La Mesa Middle School and a fourth grader at Lemon Avenue Elementary. And today at La Mesa Middle School, my daughter finally watched the speech. So we came to dinner and I said, so what'd you think? She's like, that's okay. And I'm like, well, what was it about? And she's like, well, stay of school, responsibility. And I said, well, do you understand why they delayed it? And she said, well, it would have been really cool if, I watched it last week while everybody was watching it. That would have been really cool. And I said, well, some people have said that doing this speech, for Obama to do this speech, was an assault on the Constitution. And that's when she dropped her fork on her plate. She said, what? She's 11. She's like, what? And she said, wait a minute. From what I heard, this reinforces the Constitution. He was saying you've got to keep trying and that we all have to make a contribution and that we have a responsibility. And doesn't the Constitution say something about pursuit of a more perfect union? And I thought, yes, my daughter got it. Yeah. But why didn't our school board get it? And so I looked at the kids and I said, I hear a lot of people are going to be in this meeting tonight. Should I go? And they said, Mom, you have to go. You have to go. And so I'm here because my kids told me I have to go and let you know that they respect the office of the presidency. They demand, and I demand, that you respect the office of the presidency. But more, from this dinner conversation, I respect the intelligence of my children. And we should all be respecting the intelligence.
After Leah, we have Eva Thorpe. And right now the speaker is Ray Lutz.
I'm sorry, who's next?
The way I have it is Ray Lutz, Lubna, and then Leah Pavard, and then following Leah will be Eva 5th Ward.
Hello, my name is Ray Lutz. I live outside the district. My website address is citizensoversight.org, and the video will be posted permanently on the internet. We at citizensoversight.org look for boards like yours that are out of line, and we try to get them back in line. If the resignation is not forthcoming, by the way, to the public, a recall effort is quite easy to do. So if these what's really disturbing to me about this is a misuse of power. You guys are put into place here to deal with the budget, large issues with regard to the school, but you're not put into place to deal with minuscule, tiny issues where you will drill down into the classroom and tell everybody how to think. When you do that, you put the teachers on notice. If you show the video of Barack Obama, you could be fired because we said not to show it. That's the fear that you're putting into those teachers. And that's the misuse of power that cannot go any further and must be stopped. The way to stop it is to relinquish your seat and say, I don't know how to be a board member. I don't know how to put the needs of the public before me. You know what? Public school is a very socialistic type of system. We all pay into the system and we get out what we need. If you don't believe in that system, please get out of it. There's lots of private schools that would love to have you touting your very discreet views about how they should think. I know that I don't want my kids going to those schools because I know they say you must think a certain way, and that's not what public school is all about. The public, if they don't come forward with a resignation, recall. That's the next step. Thank you very much.
The speaker after, excuse me, just a second. The speaker after Eva is Mark Stengel. And now we have Lubna.
Lubna Ericat, I'm at 7780 Parkwood Drive, and I'm here as a concerned citizen, as well as cousins who go to the district, young cousins. I would like to state that I am very disappointed and in total disagreement with your decision to not show the President's speech to students at the beginning of the school year. What annoyed me the most about this is the secret, conspiracy-like, cowardice fashion that the board went about this to make sure that the parents do not have a platform or a say in this matter or about your decision. From the communication I got with the board, it sounded to me like some members had been made up not to show that speech as of Friday and concealed this through a 3-day weekend, had a secret meeting on Labor Day, and then we missed out on the speech, our students. The emails and the apologies started flying in when they saw the reaction from the concerned citizen and that they misjudged the matter. The reply I got from Ms. Halgren was that, she didn't think kindergarten children might understand what the president would say, and then, the other younger, older children might not be able to sit through a 20-minute speech. I do believe by assuming that our children would not comprehend or be able to sit still, is setting the bar pretty low for expectation from our students, and that is not why we send our kids to school. If my teachers had the same expectations from me as Ms. Halden does from her students, then I would have been unable to obtain my bachelor and master's in civil engineering. So let's give our students more credit as they deserve without underestimating their potential. As far as the generic reply I got from Mr. Winnett, it absolutely confirmed that his decision was solely political, and because he basically claimed that he did not want a socialistic message. Mr. Winnett allowed his prejudice and passion for one political party to affect his decision-making abilities without any regard to the benefit to the students of this decision. of this district. If Mr. Winnett's mission is political, then he needs to resign from the Board of Education and join the RNC. Our students' education and future should not be allowed to be a platform for Mr. Winnett or anyone else's political motivation or aspiration, no matter what party they belong to. It should be strictly about the benefit to the students. Mr. Winnett, you have violated the public's trust and the reason you were voted in. Your position is not to censor the president or Glenn Beck, but to let people who elected you have a say. Otherwise, your thinking is no better than China's communism or North Korea's dictatorship. Former President Bush did H.W. did speak to students, and I have experts from his speech about the lessons, school lessons that you were objecting to, that says, let me know how you're doing. That's to the students. Let me know how you're doing. Write me a letter, and I'm serious about this one. Write me a letter about ways you can help us achieve our goals. I think you know the address. So he did have that, so thank you very much.
The speaker after Mark Stengel will be Cheryl Mullins, and at this point we have Leah Farm.
Hi, my name is Leah Pafar. I was fortunate enough to be able to attend the first meeting. I found out about it, I think it was the Saturday before it happened. And I was really surprised at the way the meeting took place and what occurred there. I think that enough has been said about Mr. Winnett and Halgren and stuff and all the things that they said about why they didn't want this speech to be shown. And the reaction, personally, Mr. Winnett's reaction to me was disturbing because it seemed awfully personal and because it felt like I was being attacked. Once the board started talking about the issue after the public was allowed to speak, he looked at me and he said things about what I had said, but of course I wasn't allowed to react. And when I did say something, because I get like that, I was told to be quiet or I would be asked to leave the meeting. So it's been a real lesson for me. It's been a lesson for my children to see this process take place. So I want to thank you all for the lesson that I was allowed to give to my kids. And one thing I had applied for a position in the district. I just finished my special ed credential, and I'm real excited about working with the kids. And I think I met with Bobby Bender the week before, and so when I saw the meeting was taking place, I thought, wow,
Run!
What kind of district would do this? Why would you want to, hold that information to kids? They can judge for themselves. And I want to end with what struck me most about it was when I was a little kid in California growing up, they aired the lunar landing on the moon.
Yes.
Because one of the arguments was that, well, the little kids won't understand what's happening. But I remember, I think I was 7 or 6 when the guy was on the moon, and as a kid I thought, oh, that's great. Well, I guess they land on the moon every day, but this one must be special. Because, first of all, because the school is showing it, and I think the school always does the right thing. And my teacher's showing it, and I love my teacher, and so it must be really important if my teacher's showing it. So I just want to say that I do think kids, no matter how little they are, have respect for the institution. And I think that by not showing it, we've let them down and we've disappointed them. And I really want to applaud all the kids that spoke this evening.
The speaker after Cheryl Mullins will be Ray Russell. And right now we have Eva Thorpe.
My name is Eva Thorpe, and my address is 1154 Armacross Road, and I live in San Diego. I didn't come prepared to speak. I was shocked when I read the newspaper what the Mississippi Valley School District did in relation to the speech of Mr. Lavelle. I am a retired teacher from the Mississippi Valley. I taught for 36 years. teacher, I was a proponent for multicultural bilingual education. I was shocked. As a retired person, I watch a lot of TV. So I'm watching all this stuff on CNN, and I'm aghast of what I'm seeing. And then later, when I look in the newspaper, I see that the Mesa Spring Valley blocked every one of their students from hearing the President of the United States. I couldn't believe it. Today, I was subbing, that's why I'm not prepared, in Lemon Grove, and met a bilingual research teacher that left Mesa, is now working in Lemon Grove, and I heard about this meeting. I scratched out, rewrote, everyone who spoke in opposition to the board's position, I say ditto. But I want to tell you from a grandmother's point of view. As a retired teacher, my husband worked for the Mesa Spring Valley School District for 30 whatever years. I worked 6 months long. Bridget Thor worked for the district. We represented what we are, and that's African American people, to the students of La Mesa Spring Valley. We worked hard to help children of all ethnicities understand that people are people. Multicultural education is about, well, I go off, I could talk for half an hour. I'm appalled, and I guess what I'm really here to say to you, Mr. Woodhead, my granddaughter is attending Lemon Grove. She shouldn't be going to La Mesa, but her mother teaches in Lemon Grove. Nonetheless, they should. My 3 grandchildren should be going to La Mesa schools, Sweetwater Springs. I'm appalled that my grandchildren would have been not allowed to see the president. My 4th grade granddaughter goes to Lemon Grove. Channel 10, by the way, visited her class. My 4th grade granddaughter was interviewed. She saw the speech live. She was interviewed. What an impact on her life. I'm appalled. And Mr. Winnett, please, get above the political, racist fray that surrounds the first African American president. I did have something written down, please. Mr. Superintendent, I forget your name, but I'm sorry, Ryan, I'm sorry. I wrote something down I really want to say. I would urge the board to stay above this political racist fray that is occurring in our country today, because we have the first African American president, but he is the president. The children of this district have a right to hear the president speak live. This was the very first time in history any president has spoken to the children of the nation on the first day of school. Normally, it wasn't yours, it wasn't Lemon Grove's, but the point is, he spoke the first day of school. His message was important. Help our children in this district learn that they should accept all people of the nation and to encourage, I'm sorry, this is all garbled. What I want to say is, your job is to help this district focus on educating the children and to promoting full acceptance of all people of this nation and encourage the full respect of all elected officials of this country. Thank you.
The speaker after Ray Russell will be Michelle Foy. Okay, and we have Mark Stengel now.
Yes, my name is Mark Stengel. I live at 8796 Tampa Street in La Mesa. Beyond that, I'm the parent of a now young man who went through elementary middle school here. and I've been a teacher for the past 32 years in a neighboring district. That's really beside the point, but I guess. You really stepped in it, I guess, didn't you, here? I accept your apologies, those of you who sincerely apologize, but not without reservation. I do support the right of the board to judge the acceptability of outside speakers, but I believe in the future it should be the default position of this board that an address by the leader of the free world for the opening of school is acceptable for school children. I believe that to choose otherwise, as you did, is to politicize what ought to be and, in fact, was inspirational and instructive. Don't do that anymore. As to the matter of recall, I personally do not support recall except in the case of malfeasance. I question rather whether this rises to the level of malfeasance. I believe that the best recall is the ballot by an informed public. Thank you.
The speaker after Michelle will be Britt Mueller.
Cheryl Mullins.
Thank you.
My name is Cheryl Mullins. I live at 222 Terrell Court, San Diego.
Be closer.
Can you hear? I am a teacher in Lemon Grove. I've been teaching for the past 21 years. I teach 2nd grade. I have a daughter at the Mesa Middle School. She goes there because it was the feeder school from Vista La Mesa, and she wanted to continue with her peers. We received notification that if you do not want your child to listen to the speech, send the paper back. I did not send the paper back. I expected my daughter to see the speech. I watched the speech with my 2nd grade students. We had wonderful discussion. We talked about their goals. We talked about their place in the future. I am a descendant of educators. My father marched with Dr. King. My father was George Washington Carver's assistant at Tuskegee Institute. I do not appreciate that you told my child that the president, because he had a black face, was not as important to listen to as all the other presidents that came before. Anything that you want, but as a black young lady, she faces many, many obstacles that some of you will never understand. I face many obstacles that some of you will never understand. I cannot take off my black skin. Barack Obama cannot take off his black skin. But he is a highly educated and articulate speaker. And the things that he said to the children should have been heard on the day that he said it. As it turns out, she did not hear it. I didn't find out until I went to talk to her. I asked her every day, how was school? This particular day I said, did you see the speech? What did you think? She looked at me and said, I didn't see it. I said, why? I don't know. I proceeded to go home and start checking. She saw it today twice after the fact. It is not okay when children get a message that they are not equitably given information that others get. We get all kinds of negative information, and a very positive piece was missed by our children. Thank you.
The speaker after Britt Mueller will be Phil Bertrand, and we have Ray Russell right now.
Good evening. My name is Ray Russell. I have a fifth grader, which is a senior in elementary school. I also have a senior at Mount Miguel, and I have a 1-year-old at home that knows who the President of the United States is. Okay? I served 13 years in the United States Navy, and if I acted the way the board members acted with my commanding officer, I would be in the brig. What message are you, the board member, sending to our kids? Are you telling them that it's not okay to listen to figures in authority, like your mom, or your dad, or teachers? What are you afraid of? What were you afraid of? You talk about brainwashing, you talk about socialistic, but really, what's your political agenda? Do you listen to talk show hosts before you make your decisions? Bloggers and Facebooks and see what they're saying on there and go with the majority? I don't know. I'm just totally confused. I'm pretty upset. I'm very, very upset. And I think personally that this was a cowardly move on the board. Okay? I really do. Because when I look back and I do a lot of research, when I came home I asked my son if he saw the speech because I was all excited to hear his reaction. He said, "What speech, Mom?" So I had to take my 10-year-old home on the laptop and show him the speech of the United States President, the President of the United States. And I asked him, I said, "What did you get out of the speech, Andrew?" He said, "Mom," turn off the TV so I can do my homework. Yeah. You know, I mean, a 10-year-old's telling me this, okay? Now, the way I understood it, and the way I did my research, I noticed that the president of the board, Ms. Hollerine, you're the one that crafted this motion. Am I correct? You were the one that crafted this. Now you have Rick Wynette and Bob Doff that jumped on the bandwagon and refused to hear what the public had to say about, you know, letting our kids watch the airing. But a little insert from the president's speech right here, which is what really hit me. The president quoted, "I've talked a lot about government responsibility for setting high standards, supporting teachers and principals, and turning around schools that aren't working, where students are getting the opportunities they deserve. I believe every student should have an opportunity here at La Mesa, and this is where I lived for the past 15 years, okay? Now, I'm calling for the resignation of the 3 members who voted against our children's viewing this. The 3 members. I'm calling for the President, Penny Holgren, Mr. Bob Duff over here, and you, Mr. Wynette. I'm calling for your resignation, okay? Because united we stand as a force, and divided we fall."
The speaker after Phil will be Lori Wilcox, and right now we have Michelle Boyd.
Hi, my name is Michelle Boyd. I'm a graduate of Parkway Junior High. I have 2 sons that graduated from Parkway Middle, and I have a 13-year-old in 8th grade here at Parkway right now. I do want to say I appreciate that you, the board members, stepped up to make an apology regarding this issue. So many people have already talked about things that I would have liked to have said to you as well. But I think what I want to do is ask a couple questions. Some of the information I received from email reply from Mr. Wynette had mentioned that some of these issues were not relevant in the president's speech to the La Mesa Spring Valley students. And I have to ask how it would be that children telling their stories about how difficult their home lives are and how they're able to overcome is not relevant to our children here in La Mesa. It makes me wonder what the perceptions are of our children's lives here. Are we in a silver-lined district where we don't have any children with problems or that are struggling? Some of the children that tell their story had names like Adonai and Chantal, and maybe the school district doesn't know that many children that have those names, and the school board members. Perhaps those names aren't relevant to La Mesa Spring Valley. What's up with that? President Obama in his speech talked about fighting discrimination. how that is still an issue today. Is that no longer relevant here in La Mesa? Are we don't have rights issues, discrimination issues here in La Mesa? Is that what the school board's saying? And then there was the comment about how President Obama was low enough or daring enough to ask that the students write a letter to themselves and ask themselves how they could help the president. Well, wasn't it President Kennedy who said, ask not what our country can do for you, but what can you do for our country? So how far off is Obama from that? Anyway, I'm glad that this happened because I believe that this is a good exposure of what's happening here in La Mesa and Spring Valley. I don't think we can remain the isolated community that believes that everything is fine and that being white is normal. My father, who's an 89-year-old retired school teacher, when I told him what had happened, he said to me, "Oh, they must be Republican and they must be racist."
Speaker after Lori is Carolyn Gunnan, and right now we have Britt Mueller.
This is Britt Mueller, and I have 2 children in the La Mesa Spring Valley School District. I have 2 children in the La Mesa Spring Valley School District, and I live in La Mesa. I was at the September 7th meeting, and I was there by chance. I was sent an email. I got off a plane actually that morning, and I was sent an email by a neighbor and a parent of mine, and I was surprised and really outraged by the contents of that email. That was a response to her from Mr. Gwinnett. Based upon that, I learned that there was this meeting and I attended it. And it's I have to tell you, it's very, very hard for me to accept your apologies because everybody in that meeting stood up and told you how important it was for the president's speech to be shown to the children the following day. Every single person in that room. So that is really hard for me to say, I accept your apology. Based upon that, I do think I need to thank you because I know a lot more about you now. And that's going to help me make a much more educated decision, as particularly coming up in 2010 when many of you are coming up for either re-election or your seats will be open. I do also want to thank Ms. Turner, who I think did an amazing job of trying to protect the right of our children. I would also like to say that I'm kind of shocked tonight to hear how many more emails Mr. Gwinnett has sent out that were really inappropriate. And I would suggest that your apology would be better received, and personal apologies I think are in order, with either a resignation and certainly with us looking at 2010 the change. So thank you.
The speaker after Carolyn is Patrick Hurley, and right now we have Phil Bertrand.
Good evening, and I think one thing should be noted, all of the comments were made respectfully to the board members and to their office. That is more than the president received from the board members. I would ask that everyone here be a little bit aware of the cameras that are here. The eyes of the country, unfortunately, are on La Mesa. If you do a Google search, it's there. Tonight, you have heard from your employers, the people with children in this school district. By the way, I do not have children in this school district. I live in San Carlos. But I felt that it was important enough to come and see the actions of the community. You have heard your employers. They do not have, and I'm speaking for the 3 people that voted against the president. I'm retired military, by the way, and if I showed him the same level of disrespect, I would have wound up with a court-martial. I would have been told, resign. You have shown the same disrespect. You have heard from the people in an open meeting that they have no respect for you. It is unfortunate that the 3 members, and yes, ma'am, the president of the board, you are term limited, so you cannot be voted out of office. I am concerned that the 3 members with their, in my opinion, tainted view remain in office until the last part or the end of next year. So I say your actions are being watched. Your apology has roundly been rejected. The public is asking you to show by actions, not words. They have given you what they feel is appropriate actions, and they're watching what you do. With that, I thank you.
After Patrick will be our last speaker, Tamora Sayel. And right now we have Lori Wilcox.
My name is Lori Wilcox. My address is 3131 South Barcelona, which is Highlands Elementary address. This is my 23rd year teaching in this district. I am the proud parent of 2 graduates of Spring Valley Middle School, and I'm a board member of the La Mesa Spring Valley Teachers Association. I had not planned to speak tonight, but I simply felt that I must. When I face teaching something new or technical, such as the periodic table of elements, I certainly make sure I understand what I'm teaching. I would offer the same advice with regard to the Constitution. I have a stack of student papers with me to correct tonight because while all of this time and negative energy surrounds this board's decision, I'm still responsible for the education of my students. To the followers of this story, our district looks ridiculous. And unfortunately, lumped into this limelight are the hardworking and dedicated teachers who had no part of this decision. And that I resent. Thank you.
Next speaker is Carolyn Gunnan.
Good evening. I wasn't going to speak either, but I just kind of thought I could maybe add a little bit of calmness to this whole issue. I started teaching in 1965 and have taught in Illinois and Texas and here. I've never been happier teaching anywhere than I have been here. I'm extremely proud of the school that I represent, which happens to be Rolando. And I'm also very proud of our superintendent. Every child learning every day. And he means it. I felt very, very badly for him to have to make that phone call. I also felt very, very badly for the children who I teach, who I since have shown the video. But more than that, I want you to know I have 3 children, 2 of which are daughters. One is married to a Latino, and one is married to an African American. I have 7 grandchildren, and you can tell that my eyes are as blue as they can be, and all my grandchildren have brown eyes. My grandchildren are children of color. They bleed red blood. They have the same feelings that all the other children who are considered Caucasian or just a little bit more normal than the rest. And hopefully, my daughters don't raise them to feel that anybody is better than them. My first graders watched that video the second day. And we don't have a long, lengthy discussion in first grade, but I felt if they could each just tell me one thing that they thought they could remember, I invite you to come and look at the windows in my classroom, because that's what they did. President Obama told me to never quit school. I won't. President Obama told me to do my homework, spelled exactly the way I said it. President Obama made me feel like he loves me. I love Obama. I mean, what could it have hurt? And I just simply want to tell you again, I do respect you as a board. I've never been happier than to be in my position here after 42 years. And I'm still going to be there because I get up in the morning and it's where I want to be. So obviously it is a chosen profession by someone bigger than me. And Brian, I think it is for you too. And I really, really apologize to you for the actions of people who I think, had they thought just a little bit further, would have made the right decision. Thank
you. Next speaker is Patrick Curley.
False start. Yeah, I'm one of those who wasn't going to speak either. My name's Pat Hurley, and I'm from Santee. I don't have kids here, so I'm trying to be brief. And among other things, I'm the president of the Santee Democrat Club, so I want you to know where this is coming from. I know not everyone in here is a Democrat. I know everybody in here disagrees with what happened, but make no mistake. People like this that will put this in a timestamped email, and they do know they're being recorded, know exactly what they're doing. They're starting rising in the Republican Party. And you will see them on the ballot for school board, for college board, and then assembly, and then Senate. It's not that he doesn't have a conscience, it's that he's able to overcome it for political reasons.
And our last speaker is Tamor Sayal.
Thank you. My name is Umar Sial. I'm a senior at Valhalla High School, and as a fellow student, I like to speak. Education is something that it removes the ignorance from you. It teaches you new things about life, and it lets you see the world in all the colors it shows. What's happened here is I feel like these students have been cheated out of something they should have seen. Because as you grow up and you get older, and all the years pass by and time goes by, what you're left with are your memories. And that's what makes the character you are and the person you are. And the memory of them going to the first day of school, watching the president of one of the most powerful countries in the world giving a speech to them, directed just to them, would promote them far, it would be the most powerful speech, the most compelling speech they would ever have. Probably greater than what they would hear from their parents. Because when your parents talk to you, sometimes you're just like, yeah. But when you go to school the first day and it's the president addressing you and telling you you should be a better student, it makes an impact. And maybe at this age, if you're saying that maybe they won't understand it, years to come, they will remember and they would say, wow, the president spoke to me. And so I think the education they're receiving has cheated them and they're missing a big part of it. Also, because when you go to school, you learn to see the world in black and white. And when you get older, you see gray. There's a lot of gray in the world. You can't always think things are right or wrong. But what happened here is definitely far in the black and definitely wrong. Thank you.
The public hearing session